Alright, I am back for part 2 of this Echo SRM-210 restoration video. Today, I will be disassembling the unit, taking just about every single screw that I can find on here out so that I can clean it, paint it, and put it back together. Now, the last video, part 1, if you missed it, you have to go watch that first. That's when I got this unit running. And I will show you right here, and I will start it up that it does indeed run. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So as you can see here, it's running pretty well. I don't have very many issues. The clutch is working. Good throttle response. Function-wise, this is a good trimmer. It just doesn't look very good. In the last episode, we fixed the on and off switch. The on and off switch was not working, so I spliced some wires together to do that. You'll have to go see how I did that. Alright, I'm going to shut it off now. I'll show you. It starts first pull. This trimmer does not have the I-30 starter though. That's the classic starter, so you got to give it a little bit of a pull strength. In the last video, I did mention that this is not my first time doing this, and then I have done multiple units before. I still have one of the units that I restored that I've been holding on to for a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that one. Okay, so side by side, the trimmer on the right is the trimmer that I'm currently restoring, that I'm working with you guys to restore, and the trimmer on the left is the last trimmer that I restored. It looks very nice, and I'm hoping that that's what I can get the one on the right to look like. Now, there are a few differences between the two, just so that when I go to restore this one, and I show you this one, you won't think that this one is that one and that one is this one. So let me show you so you don't mix them up. Okay, so to start, the dirty looking one has an auto cut head. I'm sorry, auto cut's a steel head. This has an Echo-matic head. Okay, I think I got that right. This is an Echo-matic head. It's got the bump, but it does not have a speed feed head. This one has the speed feed 400. So when I go to put them back together, you'll see that the one has the Echo-matic and the other has the speed feed. Also, when I go to look at the back of them, this one's got the traditional starter. This one's got the I-30 starter. Now, how I can tell is when I go to pull on this one, it clunks. Like it's really stiff and clunky to pull. Whereas when I go to pull this one, it's got that spring. So all of this is actually spring loaded. The engine's not moving at all. So over time, it gets easier to pull. So I can tell. Also, the starter handles are slightly different. So that's another way you could tell. The kill switch. This kill switch, this is the one on the one I'm currently restoring. This one has the classic SRM-210 switch. It has the separate piece here, just a plate to indicate stop, and it has the little nub here for the actual switch. And the other one, the nicer one, has the SRM-225 switch. It has the one-piece switch here. It's labeled stop on the front, and it's the newer style switch. Now, this one originally had the old switch, but I made a mistake, and I don't know what the heck I did with it when I was putting it back together, so I had to unfortunately buy a brand new switch. In addition, this one is missing the two front handle screws, which I will have to eventually replace. I just plan to go to a hardware store and buy generic screws. I don't want to buy the Echo screws because they're very pricey. Also, this one has a decal on the front, and this one doesn't. Maybe I'll buy a decal when this one's all finished and said and done, but we'll see. Other than those differences, these trimmers are nearly identical. So the reason I'm pointing this out to you now is so that you don't think when I'm finished with this trimmer that I just showed you that one. I just want to prove to you that I actually did the work. Because, again, there's some people on YouTube that just get a nice looking trimmer and get a crappy looking trimmer, take the crappy one apart, and put the nice one in just to get money off of their video. So I just want to show you that I am legit restoring an Echo trimmer. What I'll also do is in my videos where I'm painting this one and cleaning it and it's disassembled, I'll show you that one just to know that there actually are two. But for now, I have to start with the disassembly for this one. So when I do a restoration, what I do is I take the unit apart and I figure out which of the pieces are the same color. So for example, this piece, and this piece, these two, they're all supposed to be the same color. If you look over at that trimmer, they all are the same color. But the plastic just got faded and turned into this yellowy, grayish, ugly color. So I put all the pieces that are supposed to be the same color, I disassemble them, and I put them in a pile. And I do the same thing with the black. That goes for all the pieces on the handle, this handle, and the head. That also goes for the pull start in the back. That is black as well, and that will need to be painted. Right now, there's really only two tools that I can really think of that I need to disassemble this. Hex wrenches. This is my favorite hex wrench set. I really like this hex wrench set. So I need that, and I need a Phillips head screwdriver. That's really the only two things I can think of that I need to disassemble just about this entire unit. Oh, and sockets for here. But other than that, let's get started. So I am going to start with the engine here, and I'm going to work my way from outside to in. Now I've learned this lesson from last time, from that one over there. I'm going to take a little bucket here, and I'm going to put it there, and every single screw I take off of this is going in there. Okay, now I'm really going to start. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this top little wing off, or whatever you want to call it. Screw. I missed. Screw in the bin. And this goes in our gray pile. Okay, pop our spark plug boot out, and then this top shroud needs to come out. Now I'm going to do this to remind myself when I'm putting this back together. There is no screw on the little exhaust rubber piece over on the side here. There's no screw, so I'm going to need to buy that brand new. I'm going to remind myself that. Okay, I'm going to move on to this front shroud here, and to do that, there's two hex bolts in the back here. They hold the top of the pull start on as well, but they also hold the bottom of the shroud on. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop those out. In the bin. And in the bin. I forgot to mention those are 3mm hex bolts. Now this top shroud should slide right off, and that goes in the gray pile. And from here, there's really no particular order I can take all this stuff out in. I guess I might as well take the intake assembly off. I'm going to go ahead and take this screw off here, or wing nut, but it's technically a bolt because there's a, oh, everything, there goes everything. This doesn't seem like it will thread out, but if you kind of push from the back on there and unscrew and maybe pull a little bit, it'll come out, and that goes in the screw bin. Okay, so we have our air cleaner cover. That goes in the gray pile. We have our air filter, which goes in the garbage pile because it's terrible. And from here, we have to pop the rest of the air cleaner assembly off. That's two screws here. That'll pop this assembly off, and that'll also take the carburetor off. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these two screws here. Let me get a little bit of a better view for you. Okay, with those screws loose, this assembly should come off here. The two screws should come with it if I loosened them enough. Well, apparently so. There it comes. That comes out. That goes in the bolt bin. This comes out. This I'm going to put aside. I'll show you what I'll do with that later. From here, this is our carburetor. So I might as well leave most of this stuff on. I'm going to crack the fuel cap to relieve the pressure. I'm going to take the black line off. And then I'm going to prime the rest of the fuel out of the carburetor. And then I'm going to take the color line off and set that to the side. That cable can really stay on there. I guess I can take it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the trigger, hold it here, let go of the trigger, push back on the trigger, pull that little dinghy out there, let go of that, and then pull the whole thing out. And then set the carburetor aside. I guess I can just put that next to the bolts. The intake gasket I'll put in the bolt bin as well. And then from here, just so I don't have to make further of a mess, I'm going to take the gas cap out and remove the gas. And I'm going to put this in the orange pile. Okay, now that all that gas is out of there, well, most of it should be out of there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my towels here and just stick it down the gas tank just so no leaks happen, because, you know, I really like gas leaks. It's my favorite thing. Maybe I'll put 2 down. There, I'll just leave it like that for now. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the pull start off. And there was 2 bolts I took off earlier right here, and there's 2 at the bottom right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pop those 2 out right at the bottom, right where I stuck my hex wrench in, and those are also 3mm. Okay, so I'm having trouble getting that last bolt out, but I'm just going to slide the pull start off for now. And there's your pull start. See, it's not an I-30. There's no spring in there or anything. So now I got to get that screw out right there. There's a stuck screw. I'm just going to take my back of my screwdriver and bang it out. I guess that worked. All right, black pile. And from here, I'm going to take off the gas tank just so I can clean it. I'm not going to repaint the gas tank, but I am going to clean it because it is disgusting. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and take that gas tank off. Now I dropped a washer. I'm going to go ahead and put that back on that bolt and slide that in the bolt bin. This I'm just going to put aside. You didn't see me do it, but in the last video I took this entire control box apart. Now, I can't tell you how much of a pain that was, but I'm doing it again to restore it. And this, I say, is probably the worst part about restoring an Echo trimmer like this, is this control box. I really, really don't like these control boxes. Or control handles, should I say, not control boxes. I'm thinking about a boat. This back one has to come off as well. This is the rear clamp. And inside this little hole right here, there is a screw to tighten the whole handle down to the shaft. See, when I loosen that, everything swivels. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this handle back while I take the shaft out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a socket for that and go do that. Remember the 2 bolts I told you that were here? I had to go with a metric socket. I'm not sure if it's right or not. I'm not sure if it's a standard, but I went with a metric. Now I'm going to slowly slide the shaft out and slide the control handle back. Okay, as you can see, the control handle is now off. It's free. And in addition, these pieces popped out of the trimmer. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the rest of those out now. This one should just pop down and out. And now there's a rubber piece inside of here that should pop out. And these 3 things, I'm just going to assemble them back together while they're not in the trimmer. Just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and put this aside. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and take the drive shaft out of the shaft. It's like a long spaghetti noodle almost. And I'm going to go ahead and put that aside as well. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and finish taking apart the engine. So what I want to do is I want to get this front cover off here. To do that, there's 4 hex bolts, the 3mm ones, on either corner of the engine. Alright, this is always a reoccurring issue on these bolts. They're always seized, and I always have to give them the heat treatment. So I'm going to give them the heat treatment. Smoking. Oh, it smells terrible. Let's see if it comes out now. Oh yeah. Right out. Gonna be hot. Ouch. In the bin. Alright, let's move on to number 2 and number 3. By the way, I think there was a missing one right here. I'm going to have to go ahead and try to replace that at some point. Well, let's first see if this one will crack. Oh yeah, there it comes right out. You know why? I probably took this one out in the last video. That's probably why it came right out. Yep. Alright, next one is this one here. That one is really stuck, so I'm going to have to use Mr. Torch for that one. Alright, she's smoking pretty good now. Let's see if it pops out. Broke something. Why don't I keep going? More heat. Alright, let's try that now. Let's see if this one will crack it open. I hope so, because I don't know how I'm going to get it out if it doesn't. Ooh, that's hot. Ouch, hold on. Let's see if this helps. Ah! Whew, that took a lot of work, didn't it? The good news is I got it out and it didn't break. Whew, that's a rusty one. You see that? That's pretty rusty. Oh well. Okay, now if I readjust these here, if I pop this up, the engine should come out. Let's slide this little grommet out, and then the engine should come out. If it's not so hot. Got to get these pins out. There we go. Now it comes out. That's a little dirty. Great pile. We got to clean it up later, right? That was hot. All right. This is what a weed whacker engine looks like without the engine, if you were wondering. Now, I'm going to take the coil wire off so that the engine is now one piece. So, I'm going to go ahead and throw this to the side. Alright, now that we took that wire out, this control handle is one piece. These 2 wires are out, the cable is out. I'm just going to go ahead and slide this off and put this in the black pile, wherever the heck the black pile is. Here's the black pile. And this I'm going to slide out. This will not be painting. This is rubber. I'm going to go ahead and put this aside. And now is the time where I need to go ahead and separate this control box. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this out. Move the camera a little bit. And go ahead and slide that out. So you're probably wondering, oh my god, that's that's very complicated. Not really. All it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. That's it. The first piece is this clamp that holds this onto the shaft. I'm going to put that in the screw bin. This is the trigger here. Let me go ahead and take this spring off. I want to note that's how it was on, so I can remind myself later that's how it was on. Put that in the screw bin. Put this in the orange pile. And then this almost acts as a little spring. This is the safety, so that when you push the top, it triggers that and allows you to pull on the trigger. This I'm not going to paint because nobody's going to see it. That I'm putting here. This one I'll paint because you can see this one. This one will go in the orange pile. And the spring on the bottom, which is right here, it just rests right there. I'm going to go ahead and put that spring in my parts bin, put this in the orange bin because I will be painting that. And from here, you have the electric kill switch. Now, I am going to be painting the top because that is faded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this screw out here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it right back in just to hold everything in place. I'm going to put this in the bin here. This goes in my orange pile because I'm going to paint that. And I'm going to take the wiring harness out of this. So now we have the cable and the wiring harness. I'm going to go ahead and put those aside. And now we have our two control box sides here, and these will go in the black pile. Okay, coming back over here, this is the shaft. I'm going to go ahead and take my handle off. There's 4 screws that I need to pop off. There's a bottom cover that will come off, and then from there, I take the rubber piece off. There's that rubber piece. This is going to go in the black pile. Oh, you know what? There's nuts on the bottom of this one. There was not nuts on the bottom of that one. They were kind of in place. I'm going to go ahead and take my screwdriver and pop out all 4 of the nuts. And I'm going to replace them and put them inside the bolts so that I know exactly where they are. Okay, so I have got my 4 bolts here, and I put the nuts on. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these in the parts bin. This is going to go in the black pile now. Okay, now that the screws are out, I can pull on this, and that pretty much just slides into 2 pieces. Now this piece I'm going to put to the side. This will not be a painter. This rubber piece on top does not look terrible. It's a little bit worn here, but it's not torn or cracked. So I'm going to keep this rubber piece. If it was torn or cracked, I'd buy a new one. But this one's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. And this is a painter. This is going to go in the black pile. And then from here, I have to take apart the head. Okay. Now, I've never taken apart an Echo head before. So this will be a little new. It looks like there's just a regular screw hole like a speed feed. So I could just stick a screwdriver down in there and take it off. Just like that. Oh, that was really easy. Holy smokes. Alright, that was easy. Now the Echo head is off. I'm going to slide that, and I'm going to take the bolt out of that Echo head. What size? Not 10. It's got to be this. Oh, there we go. 13 mil. Guessing it's counterclockwise. Out comes the nut, the washer, and that thing. Okay, so this is really a very simple setup here. So looks like that went there and that went there. Okay, so it's very simple, this Echo head. All it is just this spool here. Oh, it looks like you have that too for the locking mechanism. So really all you're gonna see is this piece here, and the top piece, whichever that was. The one I took the nut out of, that would be right here. I don't think I'm going to do much about this piece here. This is the one that went right here that I took the nut out of. Here, I'll put it back. That was right there. maybe I'll do something with, maybe I'll paint it Echo Gray. Does this piece come out? It does not. My guess is this is my bump feed setup here. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint this Echo Gray. I'm gonna put it in the gray pile. This one and that one, I'm gonna paint black. So that's gonna go in the black pile. Yeah, I'm gonna paint that thing on the bottom black too. And as for the rest of them, they go in the bolt bin. That's just weed wrap. That can go in the garbage or anywhere really. Okay, so now this piece has to come off. That's getting pretty worn. I should probably buy a new one of those pretty soon. Oh, it works okay. It's not grabbing. It's almost flush, but it's not biting yet. So I am gonna keep that, and I'm gonna actually put that in that bin over there. Okay, so here I'm gonna take these 3 screws out at the bottom. That should pop. There's a metal piece here, and the shield should come off as well. And I'm gonna paint both of those black. Okay, something just popped off. I'm gonna go ahead and take these 3 screws out, and this cover just came out, and the shield just came off too. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and just clear all this weed wrap out of there and put that somewhere else. I'm gonna go ahead and put these 3 screws in the parts bin. This, even though it's technically chrome from the factory, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint it black just to make it look nice. And my Echo shield, this is all one piece except for this piece here, the cutting piece, but I'm just gonna go over that with black. And the rest of it is just a shaft. We're really just left with just the shaft. Here, I'll show you. So as you can see, we have the shaft, and that's it. And the gear head, I'm not gonna paint the gear head. I'm gonna leave it on there. But everything else is apart. I'll show you the piles I have. All right, so I'm gonna work you guys from left to right. This is my, it's in storage and waiting to be put back together pile. I have the cables in there, the gas tank, the handle, the drive shaft, the air filter, the carburetor. And then my next pile is the orange pile, minus the engine. The engine's supposed to go over here. This is my orange pile down there. I'm gonna paint these orange. I'm gonna paint the top of the gas cap, the triggers, and that kill switch. Next to that, I have all the black stuff. So I have the shield here, the pull start, the thing that goes on the shield, the handle, the support for the handle, the other handle, and the Echo-matic head. My other pile is the gray pile. I have all the shrouds in here, basically, the air intake, and I have the little Echo-matic piece right there. Those are my tools. And the other Echo trimmer is still sitting over there, intact. And the other one's apart. But that one's still intact. You thought I was done with the video, didn't you? I got one more thing for you. I'm going to be honest with you, I completely forgot about this until now. Do you remember this part that I said I was going to put aside and never talk to you about it again until the end of the video? Well, it's back. So, do you notice that this and this are 2 different colors? The choke assembly on here is Echo Orange, where the other is Echo Gray. So this choke assembly, it works well, but that's gray and that is not, so I got to get rid of that. The only way to get rid of it is there's a weeny little hex screw in there, and I don't have a hex driver that small, but I do have specialty Torx drivers that are that small. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take it out with a Torx driver, and I realize I just got the wrong size. Let me go get the right size. I got the right size now, but nonetheless that bolt can fit this T6 driver here. And what I can do is I can pop that bolt out with this little driver, and out comes that choke lever. If I were to flip it around and push that bolt out of there, There's that bolt. And the choke lever comes out too. So those are 3 parts that are now away from this. I can paint this as a one piece now. And this, I'm not sure if I'm going to paint this or not. I might as well stick it in the pile with the orange stuff. This, I might stick in the pile with the gray stuff. And this screw, I'm just going to go ahead and put in the screw bin. Now I'm finished with the video. I took the trimmer apart in this video. And I got it running in the last one. Well, it was running, now it's apart. But in the next video, I'm going to take all those dirty parts, that gas tank, the shield there, the Echo head, the shrouds, all those parts I'm going to wipe down clean and prepare them for painting. So you're going to see me do that in the next video. Nonetheless, I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. If you're enjoying these videos, let me know and maybe I'll restore another Echo one. I just have to say, this process is very, 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 very difficult. It is not easy to take every single bolt out of these trimmers and restore them piece by piece like this. Talk about a car. A trimmer is one thing, but a car is another thing. Nonetheless, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode where I clean everything up and get everything looking nice. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.